At this very moment, malicious organizations and state actors are quietly capturing billions of encrypted pieces of information circulating on the internet. They still can't read what they're stealing, but they store everything, waiting for the day when they'll finally be able to decrypt this data. This espionage strategy is known as harvest now, decrypt later. Intelligence agencies accumulate intercepted communications and keep them stored until they acquire a machine capable of breaking the encryption. What is at stake goes far beyond espionage. It concerns the very foundation of the global economy. Every year, institutions in the banking sector process trillions of dollars in payments. The security of these transactions and the trust of every customer depend entirely on cryptographic systems that are about to become obsolete. Digital privacy is now living on borrowed time. Currently, the secrecy of the world's information depends entirely on the physical limitations of modern classical computers. Internet security is based on a mathematical process involving prime numbers. To generate a secure code, computers multiply two gigantic prime numbers, often with hundreds of digits, creating a unique result. Reversing this process, that is, factoring this gigantic number back into its original primes, is extremely difficult. A classical supercomputer needs to try countless combinations sequentially, one by one. Finding the correct numbers for standard encryption would take trillions of years. Quantum computers completely eliminate this limitation by using a property called superposition. Quantum bits, known as qubits, can exist in multiple states at the same time. This allows the machine to calculate all possible combinations simultaneously. A calculation that would keep today's supercomputers busy for millions of years can be performed by a quantum machine in just a few minutes. Faced with this kind of hardware, modern encryption offers as much protection as an extremely thin sheet of glass. Until very recently, these machines were just highly unstable laboratory prototypes. To maintain the delicate quantum state of the qubits, the processors need to be completely isolated from any external interference and cooled in systems that operate at temperatures very close to absolute zero. Researchers have managed to scale up this technology with facilities like those at Caltech, which have assembled arrays containing more than 6,000 stable atoms. However, the industry quickly encountered an obstacle that few people outside the laboratories were aware of. Building the qubits represents only half of the challenge. To read the information stored inside an atom, it is necessary to capture the light it emits. Atoms are practically transparent, and when they release light, this emission spreads chaotically in all directions. It is possible to record an amount of data equivalent to that of an entire library in an array containing thousands of qubits. However, if it is not possible to read this information accurately and simultaneously, the machine cannot perform an actual calculation. Recently, a team from Stanford University developed a solution to overcome this barrier. The researchers isolated individual atoms inside microscopic optical cavities, essentially a house of mirrors smaller than a grain of sand, capable of trapping the light emitted by the particles. Inside each cavity, a microlens focuses this emission, gathering the scattered light into a precise and readable point. After successfully testing 40 of these cavities, the team built a prototype containing more than 500 of them. This advancement demonstrated that it remains possible to read qubits in parallel even at increasingly higher densities, suggesting a modular path toward processors containing up to 1 million qubits. With this hardware breakthrough, the development of these machines is no longer just an academic pursuit. Today, governments treat quantum technology with the same geostrategic importance as nuclear weapons. The United States is trying to maintain its technological supremacy by blocking the export of advanced components and using legislation such as the CHIPS Act to direct massive investments in research and development within the country itself. In response, China has begun to treat quantum science as a strategic national asset, investing more than $15 billion in state research, an amount more than 3 times the investment of any other country. Furthermore, the country already holds more than half of all patents related to quantum computing. The numbers reveal a huge gap between Western and Chinese institutions. While a conventional university laboratory usually has only a few graduate students, large Chinese centers funded by the government bring together teams of up to 100 researchers working on exactly the same challenges. The race to build a computer containing 1 million qubits works like a zero-sum game for global intelligence. Whoever achieves this goal first will have the ability to uncover virtually all the secrets of their rivals. Whoever comes in second will be completely exposed. For the global banking sector, remaining inert means heading toward financial collapse. Financial institutions already recognize that they will need to abandon current encryption methods before hardware evolves to the point of breaking all existing protection. The Cold War of the 21st century is being fought in the field of quantum computing. And do you believe that this technology will be used mainly to cure diseases, develop new medicines, and benefit humanity? Or will it end up becoming the ultimate weapon of global espionage? Share your opinion in the comments and also tell us who you think will win this technological race. If this video has given you a new perspective on the future of quantum computing, leave a like and remember, in the upper right corner of the screen, a video suggestion will appear so you can keep watching with me. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.